Okay, it's 10:01. Let's go ahead and get started then. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time zone you're with. Thank you so much for joining me for this session. This is an interactive session with ChatGPT, as I mentioned in the description of my session. This is going to be a conversation with ChatGPT, and with that, I would like to point out that this is something that I, to be honest, I have never experienced in any of the presentations that I have attended, webinars, meetings. We talk about ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, sort of like from our perspective as outsiders, and I have realized that wait a minute here. We don't need our minds anymore to figure things out. We can just ask ChatGPT what it can do. So I don't know how many of you are aware of the fact that ChatGPT can be installed. There's an app on the phone. You can install it, and you can actually talk to it. And it's in the free version now, I think. So you don't even have to pay any extra money for this, but you can install your app, ChatGPT app, and then all you really need to do is just start asking questions and having a conversation like with a human being, which I'm going to demonstrate in just a minute. Before we get going, anyone has any questions, any concerns, anything that before we get going on the conversation? Everybody's okay? Thank you so much. So that everything's working, right? Okay, let's go ahead and do it then. All right then. So welcome again. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to show you my. Yes, perfect. Thank you so much. I thank you very much for the confirmation. I'm just never sure. And what I have done for the purposes of this conversation is that I have prepared a number of questions and topics that we are going to discuss. But again, as I just mentioned, what I would like to do is make a point that ChatGPT is one of the participants of the discussion rather than us talking about it. So again, this is something that I never thought I would, I guess, live long enough to experience. But we are going to engage the artificial intelligence as an entity to contribute to our discussions. So I do have the chat open. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. And let's go ahead and get started. There is some limitations to the desktop use. I think that the app on the phone works much better when it comes to communication, but I will demonstrate it is possible to do it on the computer as well. So I have 3 conversations this morning with ChatGPT, including ChatGPT in the conversation among other participants. And the first one is the ethical reasoning and AI in higher education. The question of ethics comes up quite often in the discussions once after we talk enough about, whoa, look at this. This is the best thing since sliced bread, since internet, since TV. This is, best thing that's at our disposal. A lot of people just cannot part from it anymore, including myself. I just see even my Apple Watch started talking to me with excitement. So it is definitely a tool that is changing our reality as we speak, literally. And that's why in my thinking and an expectation of moving the discussion forward, I am, well, let's just say excited, but perhaps it seems like there's more and more questions that still need to be answered as we embark on the interaction with ChatGPT. I really expect human-like avatars to be leading our discussions pretty soon in a very, very near future. And let me just say that what led me to this configuration of this particular presentation is the fact that see, I've been always amazed at the quality of the answers that I'm getting from ChatGPT. Whatever the topic, and again, there are certain things that I obviously know better than others. So when it comes to assessment of student learning, which is what this what the symposium is about, I know some things, and when I engage with ChatGPT, I always get answers that are above and beyond everything else that I could envision in the spirit of the moment. So I find it a very useful tool. And then the next thing that comes to my mind that I've been wondering about is, okay, if I know certain experts in the field and I have a question that I know I would like to have an answer to. See, I don't have to send an email to anybody anymore. I don't have to be asking for anybody's time, anybody's presence or response. I just ask ChatGPT and off it goes. And it will generate a number of clarifying questions and give me suggestions, answer all the questions, clarify again, and expand on certain ideas and hide others. So again, I'm just beyond amazed at the power of this entity, and that's what led me to this setup. So let's go ahead and start with perhaps some preliminary questions here. If everybody can see me, then let's ask the first question. Good morning. We are at the conference on higher education and assessment of student learning outcomes. Would you please introduce yourself? I would like you to participate in the discussion.
I'm ChatGPT, an AI developed by OpenAI, designed to assist with a wide range of inquiries and discussions. I specialize in providing information and...
Okay, so we don't have to listen to this robotic voice unless we want to. The beauty of the setup here is that we have the ChatGPT generating the transcript of the answer right away. So together with the voice, we have those two modalities coming at us, and here we are. So the question about ethical reasoning and AI in higher education is the topic of the conversation. So let's just say what ChatGPT has to say, and I will ask it to give us 2-3 topics for discussion. If you could please pose your questions in the chat, then we'll try to engage you and ChatGPT at the same time and see where the discussion takes us. So let me go ahead and ask that question of the chat first. Please identify 3 main topics regarding ethical uses of ChatGPT in higher education classrooms. I would like you to limit your response to about a minute.
Bias and fairness. AI systems, including ChatGPT, may inadvertently perpetuate biases present in their training data. In an educational context, it's important to be aware of these potential biases and ensure that AI is used in a way that promotes fairness and inclusivity, avoiding...
So again, we get an idea about how ChatGPT responds to the questions. So now, let's see here what it is that we can do. So with the topics that have been given to us, one logistical issue here that I need to address is that when it comes to the conversations with ChatGPT, whatever the topic there is, the entity is responding with quite lengthy answers, so the answers get to be long, simply because there is just so much information that it has access to, And unless you're very, very, very specific, or as specific as you can be, you are going to get sort of like everything, an overview of quite a large spectrum of issues. So just be aware of that. And again, I asked ChatGPT, what do you suggest that I can do with this, so that it's so that our conversations are just not too long. And that it responded with a suggestion that I simply put either that I put certain limits on it, which is what I've done. So I asked for 3 points, and I asked it to respond in less than a minute. So here we go. So there are 3 main topics regarding the ethical use of AI like ChatGPT, and data privacy and security is the first one. Let's elaborate on this, because this is an issue that a lot of us struggle with as we move constantly between cyberspace and our real life, so to speak, or face-to-face interactions. And I happen to be at the working at the School of Continuing Education at the community college, where we have, gosh, in our department, in our ESL department alone, we have over 100 adjuncts. And people who adjuncts are people who work at different institutions, and they come to our classrooms. And what happens is that the first thing that they do is they usually check their emails, right? Which means that they have to log into a computer, on a public computer or a computer in the classroom, check their email, and after class off, they go somewhere else, and that's where they land in someone else's classroom, log in with the same credentials, and then check their email and do whatever else that they need to do. Very often, as you know, even browser or other applications require that you log into them as well. What happens is that this creates a huge security risk right there. And that's just, let's say, at the very basic level of infringement on our security, right? Because once you log into a to your email account and you leave it on the computer, then someone else can come in and log in into your account, and with that, they'll have access to the district resources. You know, the moving on to the employee intranet and things that are normally hidden from the public. So every so often, our ITS sends us emails, sends us reminders that, you know, hey guys, please be careful. Make sure that you log off after you're done using the district property, simply because it's an again infringement on our security. So that's the beginning of it. And now when it comes to ChatGPT, a lot of people are asking what happens with the information that we upload to ChatGPT. Well, as you know by now, with internet, that has always been the case. So there isn't really that much that we can do about it, except for the fact that it's a reality. So in other words, when we log into Google, or we log into Chrome, we log into Microsoft Edge, we already disclose our information to those corporations, and we really don't think much about it these days anymore. And now with ChatGPT, there is that open AI, right? Who governs the program, and they are the ones who actually get the data. And one of the reasons that they request the data is that they simply coach. They simply teach ChatGPT how to respond, how to behave, what it means to interact with human beings, how to keep the history, and all these things that they are doing. So it's not anything that we can perhaps move away from. If we don't want to accept it, then perhaps there's just, I really don't know if there is any good way of stopping that from happening, simply because every single interaction we have with ChatGPT, there isn't really a danger, but more of a fact that whatever we say becomes part of their database. So the only word of caution, if I might, would simply be, please make sure that you do not include your personal information, right? You don't perhaps, if you unless you must, but you don't have to use real names. You don't have to use your name. You can create an account with a completely fictitious email address, things of that nature, if that really matters to you. When it comes to providing, again, the content, you can probably do it namelessly. And as a matter of fact, we could ask ChatGPT. Let's see what it has to say about privacy. So how can higher education faculty protect their privacy interacting with you? And let's see what ChatGPT is going to tell us. To protect the faculty, there we go. We have a number of things that we can do. Anonymize personal information, limit sharing, understand data storage policies. That would be up to the district as well. If you're representing a district, and please consider again the fact that you're using the public computers. Encrypted communication channels. If you don't know what those are, you can always look them up. Educate about AI limitations and privacy. Again, this is all stated in the about documents, and again, you can obviously ask ChatGPT about it. Review institutional policies. So I think that again, considering that at home you're a private citizen, so to speak, and using the public computer, you are going to be interacting with again, district equipment, district hardware, district software, or your college or institution hardware and software. Keep that in mind. Any questions about this? Does this make sense? Does this raise any red flags to anyone? Is there anything that you would like to ask as to what do we do in situation X, Y, Z? Do you have any maybe not horror stories, but let's just say stories about what has happened to you and how it impacts your life? Is that a problem, in other words? You're welcome to raise your hand and just speak. This is a breakout session. We don't have hundreds of people here, so you're welcome to ask any question you like. Everybody's okay? Right. So thank you very much, JD, for that comment. And I tell you, I'm just kind of like not familiar how to handle this either, right? As you notice, right? Because that's right. I am here to kind of like, used to the idea that, hey, I am the presenter, right? I'm going to tell you what I think. So ChatGPT is here, and that's why it's kind of like still difficult for me to, well, yeah, let's go ahead and ask it. As far as enriching a classroom discussion, yep, I think that's the you've just hit the nail on the head with this, right? This is exactly what it is. That we could have a conversation with ChatGPT in the classroom. Now, I think I even saw a visualization of someone painted it. That ChatGPT can paint pictures. It's connected with DALL-E now, so you can certainly do that. And there is this beautiful visualization of a robot in the middle of the classroom, and students are around, and the teacher is in the background moderating the discussion. So this would probably be a good question for us to explore in the near future. As we wonder what is going to happen, gosh, I mean, at the speed that we are that those changes are happening, I think even 3 years from now looks questionable. I really don't know how those roles of the teacher versus students are going to happen to change. The question really is, are we going to need classrooms? Are we going to need teachers? If I can have ChatGPT as a tutor, and my goal is to become an expert in astrophysics, I'm sure it's going to take me some time because astrophysics and STEM is really not my field at all. But I think I can do it as far as long as I have enough desire to do it, right? So who knows? Maybe things are going to be changing in our educational configurations as we know them quite quickly, quite in the near future. Tina Henson, please, would you please speak your question out? I don't know if I want to read the lengthy description, if you don't mind.
Okay, so you want me to I actually just made a comment in the chat. Did you want me to read the comment I made?
Yeah, just say it to us. Yes, please.
Okay, so I actually teach college stats, and several quarters ago, I decided to try and see what I could get from ChatGPT. And it was the first time I had used ChatGPT. I wanted it to come up with different versions, different activities, different problems in a way so that it could teach the students different concepts. And I even asked Chat not to use anything that existed on the internet now, since students will oftentimes Google the answers. And I was very pleased with the outcomes that it provided. And I did it was a learning journey to ask the right questions. If I wasn't specific enough, I found that it was going off in a different directions. But I've learned to narrow that down now. But I did have a question. If several people ask the same question, are they going to get the same answer? Like if I asked one question and someone in another school asked the same question?
Yep, that's a very good question that comes up often. Actually, you're absolutely right. And I tell you, I am pretty sure that you are going to get different answers. Let's ask ChatGPT. Let's see what happens. If two different people ask you the same question, are they going to get exactly same answers?
If there are prior messages in the conversation that provide context, they can influence the answer. Updates to the AI model. Over time, the AI model is periodically updated with new information and improvements. If one person asks a question before an update and another asks the same question afterward, the answers might differ slightly due to the updated information or algorithms. Variability in AI response generation. The AI is designed to generate responses dynamically. Even with the same input, it might produce slightly different wording or phrasing, although the core information and intent of the response should remain consistent. Specificity of the question. For straightforward, fact-based questions, like a specific historical date or a mathematical problem, the answers are likely to be more consistent. For more complex, opinion-based, or interpretive questions...
How is that? Okay, can you hear me now?
Better. Sorry, you were talking and so was ChatGPT.
I think I muted it, so we should be okay. Okay, you know what? I did something with the microphone. Can you hear me okay? Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes, thank you. Right. So again, from my experience, I did that, and it was a few months ago, around summer, I believe. It really did generate different answers. If there was a continuity, then it would elaborate on the previous answer. But as you know, you can on the left hand side here, you can see the different conversations that I have opened. And if you were to ask a question and then have a conversation on the topic once, and then you go into the next conversation, you're going to get similar answers, but not necessarily in the same order. It's not. It really feels in many ways as if you were talking to two different human beings. That's probably the best answer I can offer to this. Tina, is that okay? Does this make sense?
It does. And
Right.
then, just one thing, usually when chat comes up with this amazing, what do I want to say, idea, I always thank chat. And the human response that comes back is actually quite delightful.
That's exactly right. That's my experience. That again, every time I ask, I get an answer that exceeds my wildest expectations. It's just so profoundly much more articulate and more detailed, and really the general bigger picture that I get as a result of my query is just absolutely spectacular. So with that, if you don't mind, I would like to move to the next question, which is again, Tina, I really like your comment that you find it engaging to use ChatGPT in the classroom. But as you probably know, many of us are leery of the use, thinking or making an assumption that students are going to be using ChatGPT to cheat, right? To simply bypass the fact that, hey, the professor is here as the main source of the information for you. Here's the point of reference, not ChatGPT. That reality is again being undermined every single day as we speak. And I just wonder, what are your thoughts on the topic? And let's see what ChatGPT can do about this. And let's see if I can do this right this time. If you could please comment on how faculty can protect themselves and students from cheating using ChatGPT. I would appreciate it if you could cut it down to about a minute. Okay, and I muted it so that we don't have the same thing here. So educate an ethical use, modify assessment methods, use plagiarism detection software, monitor changes in student performance, promote critical thinking or originality. And again, this is very much in line with my thinking here. So again, if I were to be sitting here alone at home in my office, talking to ChatGPT, what I would do is simply ask it to elaborate on each one of these points. Now, education and ethical use is on its own huge topic. But what's really dear to my heart is the point number 2, which is the modification of the assessment methods. See, we are used to the idea of having standardized tests, or as we probably know, most of the disciplines in higher education require some type of writing assessment, writing skill, and writing reflection, things to prove to us, to show us that students have attained the main concepts that we are teaching in our psychology, geography, philosophy, physics classes, right? So writing is something that's inherent. We take it for granted, and all of a sudden with ChatGPT, the writing part especially seems to be getting out of our control. Again, if you could please share your experience, if anyone out there, how do you deal with this, or have you? For the most part, what I hear from students and faculty is normally, I think that there is still a bit of a let's just say apprehension, and the question about how to deal with this is not really answered readily, not that I can tell. So I would appreciate if you could please, if anyone there has any experience with that, would you like to share, please? GD, please go ahead. Would you like to speak to this? Very good point.
Okay, it's my belief that it's just another tool. And yes, we have to teach students the basics, But once they understand the basics, there's no reason to prevent them from using a tool that they'd be expected to be fluent in when they get to the workplace. Because if we do keep them from learning how to use those tools, they're going to be at a disadvantage when they do go into the workforce. Or at least that's my 2 cents.
Absolutely, absolutely. That I agree. I am sure that this would be true because again, just like calculators and everything else that we use. So a couple of thoughts that I have developed over the last few months since ChatGPT it started kind of like, infringing upon my sleeping routine, to say the least, that come to my mind is the fact that first of all, changing the assessment strategy or changing the assessment method would have to be the name of the game rather than imposing on students same type of assessment and setting up those roadblocks and walls and preventing them from having access to the tools. With that comes the question and really answer to the question of responsibility, right? I think again, JD, thank you very much for mentioning the calculators. The issue here is that when we type a question into a calculator, a query such as 3 times 7 is 21, well, then we know for sure that's the answer, and we just type it in to answer a math problem, let's say. But when it comes to ChatGPT, the questions and answers are much more profound, much more elaborate, much more in-depth reaching, which means that we have to realize that we are the ones who are responsible for the content that ChatGPT generates. So in other words, if I am asking a question on a topic and I get an answer, I can't just simply copy and paste it and give it to my students to digest. It still is my responsibility as a professor, as a faculty of record for the course, to make sure that the content that I'm providing to the students is what they need. It has to be accurate, and if it's not, it's my job to fix it. It has to be insightful. It has to be engaging. It has to be all those things that make the classroom alive to the point that students are learning, obviously. So this responsibility part here, I think, is what's running away from us. This is the argument that I don't hear enough. And I believe that the same argument could be posed to the students that, hey, listen, it is your job to make sure that the materials that you bring back as a result of my query for you to produce documents of the fact that you have learned something, that this is all up to you. And as a matter of fact, as JD mentioned, it may be to the student detriment if we tell students, please do not use tools such as ChatGPT. We should encourage students to use those tools. We should be making sure that students are aware of those things. But at the same time, students need to be aware of the fact that they are responsible for the quality of the material that they are bringing back. So again, the aspect of copying somebody's homework or cheating during the exams is not anything new that just originated with ChatGPT. It's something that's been always present in our classrooms, and we dealt with those issues differently, or historically we may have developed certain practices. It's just that now, considering that the high quality of ChatGPT response, those actions to correct the undesired behavior as reflected by a copied piece of response, it's more and more difficult for us to address as faculty. And that leads me to the next point, which is the plagiarism detection software. So maybe first of all, when it comes to the issue of plagiarism, I think I heard someone speak to this over the summer. And plagiarism is not something that ChatGPT actually does. It only generates thoughts like any other human being. And I tell you, I get ideas when I in my professional work from all kinds of different sources, right? And let's just say that I read an article, then I listened to a speaker, then I had a conversation with someone, and my ideas develop as a result of those interactions. And then I all of a sudden start writing on a topic, trying to project what my ideas are. And those ideas that I get from others find their culminating point in my work. And then that's where the responsibility comes in. See, when there is a profound statement that I want to make, I really do need to take time and go back and ask myself, who else could have said something on this topic in the past? And that's when I start doing my research, when I go back to those original thinkers or people or the giants of whose shoulders I'm standing on right now, right? They are the ones who have said things in the past. And I am responsible for sharing this in my work. So again, all I really need to do is just say, John Dewey said that, James Baldwin said this, and then I'm home free. I've given them the credit. And this is how I can structure my thinking using ChatGPT without going into this rabbit hole or slippery slope of calling my work as being plagiarized. So again, I use ChatGPT to generate ideas to help me think, but I would never, ever, ever, again, that's just, I suppose, where the ethical issue of working with ChatGPT comes in. I would never simply copy and paste whatever I get on a piece of paper and say it's mine. Again, there is nothing probably wrong with that I can think of. It's just that it is my professional responsibility to make sure that the thinking that's there is mine, and that the resources that I or bibliography and whoever I think contributed to my thinking, their presence in their thinking in my work must be addressed. So that's just my thoughts on the topic. Nicholas, please, if you could, Nicholas, you have some couple of comments here. So please, if you don't mind speaking, telling us what your thinking is.
Can folks hear me?
Yes, we can. You're fine.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that it's wonderful to recognize as experts and folks who have been helping students learn for many years that, there are learning processes that ChatGPT can't duplicate, even though it can create lots of text, and how important it is for students to be thinking critically and using their own brains while they use it. But just telling students they need to do this isn't going to get them very far at all, because they don't have our expertise in those same facilities. And so I think a tremendous amount of scaffolding, it seems, needs to be done so that students who are novices in some of the things they come into our classrooms and are often novices in critical thinking are in fact able to do more than just take whatever ChatGPT spits out at face value.
Absolutely, that's a brilliant thought. Absolutely, that's exactly what it is. I do agree with you that ultimately we are still the guardians of the content, so to speak, right? In a sense that we are the ones who need to be there, holding students' hands, making sure that they are on the right path, as they explore and they engage in topics that are not familiar to them. And I think I agree again to a point with this, because again, when I think some more about this, I could ask ChatGPT to structure learning for me. And again, you mentioned in the chat here the astrophysics, right? As this proverbial subject that we don't know much about. And I think I could ask to structure. Let's just say that well, let's try this. What would be? Let's just say that I have a master's degree in education, not astrophysics. Considering my academic background, what would be a course of study for me if I wanted to study astrophysics? Give me a 5-point outline of topics. I'm sorry, this is all live internet, live interaction, and my live thinking. So I apologize if there is some inaccuracies here, but I think I stated it quite clearly. So there we go. I have a degree in education, not in astrophysics. Here's what we have. I'm going to study fundamentals of physics and mathematics first. Then I'm going to study astronomy. Then I'm going to study advanced mathematics. Then I'm going to study theoretical and observational astrophysics and so forth. So again, Nicholas, this is an important consideration for us. But now I'm just kind of like, starting to realize that, gosh, how long is that going to be true, right? How many years, how much more time are we going to be ensured that what we have to say matters as individual faculty members, as individual student beings? Again, no matter who I talk to, the scope of my knowledge, my experience, my readiness to receive someone else's answer is limited to what it is that I know. The same way, the same goes true for the partner of my conversation. It's just one person who has a, no matter how profound, still limited knowledge. When it comes to ChatGPT, interactions with ChatGPT, those conversations are, gosh, backed up by well, gazillions, right, of artifacts and databases or books, all kinds of materials that are there. I don't know if any human being can possibly compete. I mean, we already know that we can't. So again, if I am conscious about it, and maybe who knows, the part about sticking to the topic, staying consistent with it, having the desire to learn or ability to stay focused on the study, perhaps those are the things that we can't really transplant to students' brains just by using ChatGPT. But there is something to be said about structuring your work. And I'm sure that if I were to, and as a matter of fact, I've done this before, that I did ask ChatGPT to schedule my day around certain tasks that I had to accomplish. And it told me, this is your lunchtime, this is your dinner time, this is the time for you to exercise, this is for your time to do your work. And I had the whole schedule planned out for the day. Then I started doing it for the whole week, for the whole month. And I tell you, it seems to be working. So again, as ChatGPT and other tools become more elaborate and more sophisticated and more focused, the question is, what's going to happen? Please, Nicholas, do elaborate. Sorry if I just noticed you made some additional comments, if you don't mind.
Found the mute button. And I'm sorry, I don't want to monopolize anything in this conversation. Who knows the different domains where ChatGPT is going to improve and become even more powerful than it is. But if the domain that we feel secure will happen is that it will become better and better and more accurate at generating text or forms of things that represent a body of knowledge, okay, but having easy access to a body of knowledge is not the same as learning. And I think already a lot of students don't buy into the idea that learning is more than just taking knowledge that lives somewhere else and downloading it into your brain. And that's a problem that's already there.
Right.
I guess I'm not as pessimistic about professors becoming replaceable, because so much of what we do is facilitating the social aspect of learning instead of holding the knowledge ourselves and somehow uploading that into students' brains.
Right. So again, we can have a discussion about the social embedment of learning. You're absolutely right. Historically, that has always been the case for most of us. But when you think about, let's just say, students with disabilities, or students who do not have access ready access to the classrooms, let's just say in our current reality, these students would be at disadvantage. No question about it. So what do they do? What about students who live in remote villages where the highest level of education is well, let's just say below of what it is that they would like to achieve? What about students who remote islands, or I don't know, speaking languages that are not necessarily mainstream? What are they supposed to do, right? So again, we take it for granted that there is a classroom and then there is a teacher, but we know that that's a luxury. We can call it a luxury in well-developed countries. Other places on earth do not have that. And with access to internet, to YouTube, to all kinds of websites that are there, among them, there is ChatGPT. And I just wonder how the advent of artificial intelligence into those remotely located minds, for all kinds of different reasons, I'm using the word remotely located, how they are going to be impacted by this. Because while I do agree that for us, learning is a social process, ultimately we are there to find information that's relevant to us. And I think that's the part that we need to focus on, asking ourselves why we are in the classroom, why our students are in the classrooms, what are we trying to accomplish, what is the purpose of our interactions. The social aspect, as you know, has huge implications, or let's just say that there are huge discussions on it. As we know, people pay and cheat and lie and steal just to get their kids to the most prestigious universities, not necessarily because they have the best teachers, but because their children will be mingling with those people who are going to be perhaps at some point in their life decision makers, policy makers, huge business owners, and trailblazers in many aspects of our lives. And that's the hope, right? So there we are. Then the question is going to be that again, I'm sure a lot of students will be asking in the near future, and they probably have started asking, what do we do now? How can I get to this most prestigious school? What do I do? How can I meet people that may matter in the future? So again, the ChatGPT will answer those questions at 3:00 in the morning, on Friday night or Saturday morning rather, when I wake up thinking, oh gosh, look at this. Now I don't have to wait for a counselor from the university to make time to talk to me and then listen to them or have a conversation with them. There is this entity that's sitting on my desktop, and again, as I mentioned earlier, it's on my phone. I can talk to it. So thank you very much for your comments, Nicholas. I do have other people there. In large part, we learn by doing. That's right. And Stephen, would you please elaborate on your comments, if you don't mind?
Sure. So what we've been doing at my school, we're out in Massachusetts, is looking for opportunities to get students to use GPT as a tool in their generation of information. as opposed to the retrieval and then regurgitation thereof. Apologies for the regurgitation part, but the idea there is that we're using it to try to supplement the logical components of the course instead of the more rote, I can report on things that I'm then finding. And so we're looking for ways to get students to think more creatively and then critically about their ideas. So using it as a brainstorming tool, using it to help them structure their own ideas, because it can help them think more logically, especially for students that are coming in without those logical skill sets already in place. And I think that exactly the critical thinking component in number 5 is the big part of what we're trying to do to make AI not this sort of adversarial relationship with faculty, but to make it something that we're using as a formative tool to help students build a skill set that they can then apply someplace else with or without the assistance of AI, because we expect that it's not going to go away. And it's going to become more integral, especially in fields beyond composition, where the actual thought components are more formulaic. And so getting students to look for ways that they can find information, process it through a tool like this, and then apply it on their own. Those are the kinds of things we're looking for when we're looking for ethical uses of AI in ways that reinforce what students know, need to know, and then can demonstrate to others. So
absolutely. I think this is again very important consideration. Thank you so much, Stephen, for the comments. You're absolutely right. I think it's gotten to the point that, you know, when we think of those, you know, plagiarism detection or ChatGPT detection, right? I think that's what I'm after. Software. You know, I did an experiment few months ago. It was the same thing. I put in the text that I wrote 3 years earlier before ChatGPT became a reality, so I know it's authentic, it's mine, and I simply asked ChatGPT to rewrite the following passage using my writing style from that paper, and that was that. So let's just say that you know, it obviously did it in my style, even with my you know, ESL like errors, and certainly I read it as if it were mine. I mean, I just didn't have any hesitation about that. Then, as a matter of fact, there's software that detect, you know, that help you detect ChatGPT, and they will even help you rewrite your work in a language that cannot be detected by other programs. So it's just you know, that's just again the rabbit hole that we really don't need to go through. Since you mentioned, Stephen, the formative assessment, from your own perspective, your own field, would you mind sharing some examples? Because I think ultimately that's where we need to go, documenting student learning as it happens throughout the semester, throughout the instructional time frame, starting from the beginning, talking about students, what it is that they're going to be learning, giving them some surveys perhaps at the beginning, what their expectations are, what their level of expertise is, sharing points about what it is that they are supposed to be learning in the course of the course, and then throughout the semester, every step along the way, making sure that students have enough ample opportunities to demonstrate what it is that they are learning, so that at the end they are learning, they are ready for this culminating or summative type of an assessment culminating activity. Stephen, from your neck of the woods, so to speak, would you happen to quote perhaps some of the practices that come to your mind?
Sure. So I think for us, a big part of it was making sure that everyone's on the same page and we're disclosing how we're using AI when we are. I've been giving students a very limited constraint in which to apply AI. So if we're in one part of the writing process, using it just for that, and the rest of the paper is student constructed on their own. When we ask students to use AI, at the end of it, giving them a reflective component. So they're explaining how they felt about how they're using it, what they felt they got out of it, if there were skills that they've taken away from this that they can then apply someplace else. Because what we experienced the first time we were trying to pilot use of AI in our writing courses was that students used AI, turned in what AI produced, and then thought they were done. And that led to a lot of academic integrity issues. It led to concerns with our next level of constructors, and broadly across the campus, this idea of like, what are students actually able to produce if they're doing it this way? And so by limiting the scope of it and getting more granular on here's how we're using it for this particular component, and then the next assignment assigning a different component of it to AI, and I would say forcing, but that sounds bad, students to use AI in different ways so that they can see how it can be applied, not just as a solution to a single problem, but as a sort of aid for their own thought processes, I think gives them more familiarity and comfortability using the tool, especially in less formal and constrained environments, so that when they go out and do stuff with it, they have their own metacognitive processes that say, is this the kind of information that I should be asking AI for, or is it something that I need a more authoritative version of? And we talk a lot about the issues with large language models and the sort of inaccuracies that they are prone to. And so we use those when we're talking about our formative assessments to say, when you produced this, what kind of concerns do you have about what was produced? So if it was helping you brainstorm, which of the ideas did you feel may not hold enough merit to turn into an essay? Or as it was structuring things for you, do you feel it was actually balanced in what it was doing, or was it relying on some of the faulty logic or rhetorical strategies we've said you should avoid as it's producing this sort of argument for you?
Right.
And giving them an opportunity to reflect on how their work was their own, but also was influenced by somebody else. And we also incorporated that same practice into our writing workshops, where they're having another classmate give them the same kind of feedback in ways that takes control of their own work out of their hands, at least momentarily, and then incorporating that back into their sense of here's how I'm writing, and not just here's how writing was produced.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Excellent. Excellent. Well, again, this is big adjustment for all of us, right? All of a sudden, our teaching has become very public, for lack of a better expression, right? That every student can question what it is that the professor is saying in the classroom in the spirit of the moment, right? Unless you ask students to again not to interact with ChatGPT or any other tool. So that leads me to the next point, and I realize it's already 11 o'clock. So I need to end this session. The next one is going to be in 15 minutes about the teaching and learning specifically. So you're certainly welcome to join me. Again, thank you so much. I really appreciate the discussion. Yeah, it's a great experience. So to engage ChatGPT in this, let's see where it all takes us. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the symposium, and I'll see you hopefully in the next session. If not, there is a lot of interesting presentations going on concurrently. Thank you again. I'll see you next time. Yes, please don't hesitate. That's right. Please don't hesitate to send me an email if you wish to get a hold of me. You probably know how to find me through the coach's website and whatnot. Super. Thank you again. Already.